So those are the 5 root causes of underperformance: skill gap, will gap, capacity overload, misaligned role, and a personal life interference. And it's really just as simple as that. And so my hope is when you're thinking about that underperformer on your team right now, that you're like, oh, that's it. It was one of those 5. I know it was one of those 5. And if it wasn't, let's have a conversation and argue it with me, and maybe I update the transcripts for this. But I think it's probably one of those 5 based off of my 20 plus years in human resources. That's what I've whittled it down to. So let's identify it. Let's have a conversation around it. So you need to be able to do a simple diagnostic before your formal conversation. Think through what I just said, what those 5 things are, and help identify it. Then we're going to describe what we've observed, whatever that looks like, be specific, talk about the behavior, and talk about it in a very factual way, not an emotional way. We need to state the impact on the team or the business. We need to ask a curious question. What's getting in the way? Or, what's going on in your personal life or whatever it is? Then we need to reset the expectations clearly. Most managers skip the curious part and they go straight to the dictator conversation. That's how you miss a skills gap. That's where you go straight to discipline and you're missing a skills gap when there might have just been a training problem. I was so proud. Last week, I was having a conversation with one of my clients, and there was a sexual harassment issue going on in the organization. And when I said you need to have a conversation with the gentleman, something had been reported and they'd opened up an investigation. And when I said, okay, so you need to have a conversation with the gentleman and learn what happened, the owner of the company said, I know we're going to go in curious. And that came from, I could have just hugged him. But that came from every time he and I talk about performance issues, I say, go in with a curious posture. We want to learn from the employee first before we just start spouting off what it is that we need. Because if an employee feels like we don't care about them as a person and then we start telling them what we need, how undervalued and unknown do they feel? They might be going through a real personal thing. But if we're like, listen, this ain't working for me, then that's a problem, right? Like they're going to feel so unknown and so unvalued and hurt by you, honestly. And so we need to go in with a posture of curiosity. Here's the cost of waiting. Here's the risk that you're running if you don't talk about it. Top performers are watching. Are you dealing with your performance issues or are you not? If you're not, they're already talking about it. I'm telling you, if you're coming to me or you're talking to one of your counterparts about a performance issue going on in your organization, other people have already talked about it behind your back and they're wondering if you're capable of handling the issue. I promise you. I know that doesn't feel good. I know you don't love the way that feels and the way that sounds, but they're talking about it behind your back and they're saying you either are blind or you don't care or you're not capable of dealing with the issue. It's causing a problem in your organization. You're going to lose top performers over it if you're not dealing with performance issues. They're judging. They're talking about you. They're watching and they're judging. Every week you wait, this pattern is continuing to build. And then if you do decide to address it eventually, they're going to say, I've been doing this forever. Why are you just now bringing this up? And it's going to be a way that they can be defensive against you. Well, they've allowed this for so long and now they're going to fire me over it. Ooh, could be a wrongful termination suit. Address it as soon as we possibly can. And if you have no documentation, you have major legal exposure. So document. It can be an email. We're just documenting it, okay?